Good afternoon, Dog fans. Welcome to another edition of Dawg News Daily Live, presented to you by DoMyOwn.com. Shout out to those sponsors at DoMyOwn.com, big-time dog fans and Dawg News Daily supporters. We thank you for your support. Always big things going on over there at DoMyOwn.com. One thing I'm running into right now is a lot of ants coming to my house. We're getting some rain coming in, and they're looking for dry land. They're coming inside my house. So I go on to DoMyOwn.com, get some repellent, get some things out there, some traps, some ant bait traps there. They're getting out of my house, and I'm not having them all over my sink. I'm not worried about leaving food out anymore because guess what? My home's protected by DoMyOwn.com and the guys over there. So thanks so much for your support. Any lawn care, home and garden needs that you have, go over to DoMyOwn.com and DIY like a pro. So a few housekeeping things we want to get to before we jump it right into UGA Vandy this weekend, opening weekend. Just an awesome time here for sports fans in general, especially college football fans here in the South. One thing, we have the contest on the game, the Dawg News Daily shirts. The contest is all over social media. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go on there, put in your score predictions. We're only if you have to guess exact. We're not playing horseshoes or hand grenades here. Okay, so it's guess the exact final score, and then the tiebreaker on that is also going to be you're gonna have to guess Zamir White's rushing yards. So I've seen some predictions already out there. Some are expecting a pretty big game. Some are expecting a maybe a lackluster performance, especially with all the hype that the kid's gotten. So check that out. Sorry, man, I'm adjusting my screen here. Check that out. Go there if you want to win a shirt. That's where you need to go. DawgNewsDaily.com. Check it out all over social media as well. A few other things that we have on the website this week. Our 3 and Out report. We're going to post every single Thursday, kind of giving you our staff's takeaways on kind of the key players, key positions that we're going to be focusing in on during the game that weekend, and just really some guys that we think that are going to be big time contributors to a victory, or if they don't step up their game, possibly to a loss. So get on there, check that out. I'll run through a little bit here on the podcast, or on the video here today, and then but check it out and go into depth there. We got some stats and got some key some key information that we're noticing here preseason going into the game this weekend. First up, it's opening weekend. Dogs, we've seen the spread jump up to 22.5. Start off at 21, so it looks like the betting public is jumping in and going to they're a heavy favorite on the Dogs, as you saw last night in the Georgia Tech Clemson game. Clemson looked rusty to me. They scored 52 points, but Georgia Tech does not look very good. As expected, the transition is not exactly where they want it to be. That whole entire team's going into a whole different offense. They had to mix in a little bit of the option last night just to even move the ball a little bit. So don't expect – I'll transition that in to the Dogs. Trevor Lawrence's performance didn't look great, didn't look Heisman contender-like, but he was also pulled in the third quarter. 2 interceptions, I guess the one at the end is kind of to throw it up, try to make something happen, interception. First one's a really bad play, bad pass, and thank goodness for him being as athletic as he is, able to get back to score, or to prevent Swelling Kid from scoring. So, going to be a tough year for the Jackets. I'm not upset about that at all. I'm sure a lot of Bulldog Nation isn't either. But segueing into the Bulldogs, don't expect that the Dogs are going to come out and score 28 points in the first quarter. One, in comparison, Clemson to Clemson and Georgia Tech and Vandy. Vandy's better than Georgia Tech is. There's no doubt about that. And also at the same time, they're going to come out a little bit rusty. Georgia has a new offensive coordinator. We talked about that last week in our last post here. So look for them. They're going to go a little bit more up tempo. Jake Fromm has mentioned that a little bit here this week during his media session. So look for the Dogs to go a little bit up tempo. But they're gonna lean on the big nasties up front, the big guys up front to take over and lean on the Commodores front. Probably wear them down third, fourth quarter. And that's where Georgia, you'll probably start seeing them pull away. Covering the 22.5, I don't know. Our score prediction, I'll say a little bit later here in the game, but we do have the Dogs winning, that's for sure. Looks like a big crowd heading up to Vanderbilt. Vivid tickets as according to their sales, looks like 69 to 70% of their ticket sales is going to Dog fans heading up for the game. So expect a big red out up there in Nashville this weekend. What a great atmosphere. Nashville is just so much. It's just a great time, and it gives the Bulldogs sometimes to spend honky tonkin there on Broadway, and at the same time make it over to Vanderbilt and watch the Bulldogs play. So it sounds like an awesome weekend. We look forward to being up there at the game this weekend and giving you kind of our point of view on Sunday after the game, kind of our news and notes on what we noticed. So let's jump into the 3 and Out report that I mentioned that we posted on the website. That's www.dawgnewsdaily.com. It's right there on the main page there. So here's just 3 specific positions that we're really looking for out of the Bulldogs to be key contributors, things we want to see improve from last year, and really just guys that we want to see put our eyes on. It's a new year. It's the first game of the season. Defensive line's our first one. Texas, once again, they got about almost 200 rushing yards. I think it's 179 in the Sugar Bowl against the Bulldogs. But it looks like those 3rd and 1s, those 2nd and 2s were big-time plays that the Bulldogs just couldn't get stops. Keyshawn Vaughn for Vanderbilt, he's actually the SEC leading rusher from last year. Over 1,200 yards rushing. He's a big-time back. The offensive line for Vanderbilt's mostly juniors, redshirt sophomores, redshirt juniors. So they've got a little bit of experience, a little bit of playing time. So it'll be exciting to see how Georgia confronts that offensive line if they're able to get some penetration. One name we're hearing and seeing a lot in practice, not able to attend a couple practices this week due to media restrictions, is Malik Herring, just stepping up, being a force. We know what Jordan Davis is when he's healthy, when he's in shape. So we want these guys to take on, having to take on double teams, freeing up our linebackers to come up and meet them at the point, at the line of scrimmage. So at the point of contact there. So Tyler Clark is one guy we really want to see and see step up and get back to that 2017 form. So he is one name that and one player that we're going to be looking for. Another, Malik Herring. Last but not least, Devontae Wyatt. That's a name to remember, Bulldogs. You're seeing him kind of come up in the ranks, earning his stripes, got some playing time last year. So the rotation from Trey Scott and see how he's going to rotate all these players. Remember, we do have a couple other guys here, Carter, Barnett, Marshall. We have a lot of guys that are going to be coming and rotating in. A couple of those guys I just mentioned, seniors, coming in and keeping fresh bodies up front. So in Rochester, I'm not sure he plays. He is recovering from an ACL. So, but seeing that rotation up front, a lot of 4- or 5-star guys coming up there and rotating. It'll be interesting to see in that second half. If you see, Walker come in, that true freshman, Zion Logue, I'm not even sure he'll probably even travel, to be honest with you, because they are limited to 70 guys making the trip here, Bulldog fans. So a lot of these guys that you're always hearing about in recruiting, you'll probably see a little bit more week 2, week 3, Arkansas State, Murray State. You probably won't see on the 70-man roster because you have to have a limited roster spots there making the trip. So defensive line's our first key position unit that we're looking at. Second is right behind them are the linebackers. You heard a lot about Have a Great, all offspring from Kirby Smart and from Coach Dan Lanning. Georgia, not only did the media hear it and view the lack of sacks, Georgia was actually ranked 100th out of 120 teams in the NCAA in sacks last year. I think it was about 20 to 24 sacks they recorded last year. That's not going to get it done. Some of that you saw, against LSU not being able to get pressure. Burrows, and then obviously with DeAndre Walker being graduated and absolutely at the same time not playing in the SEC championship game in the second half, lack of pass rush, lack of quarterback hurries, and just pressure. Kind of, it hurt the Bulldogs. It absolutely did. So they recruited towards that position unit. That position unit is stacked. You're going to see guys, Adam Anderson, Walter Grant, Azeez Ojulari. These are all guys coming in and coming in waves. You saw with Anderson and Grant a little bit lighter on the lighter side, about 220, 225. Great to see them another year in the college program. High school working out, college working out. Scott Sinclair does a fantastic job with the Bulldogs. So expect to see that pressure in that front just coming in waves. Right behind them guys, Jermaine Johnson, the junior college early enrollee, coming from Independence junior college. And then you also have Nolan Smith, number one recruit in the nation, coming in for the Bulldogs, and he also enrolled early. So expect them to get a lot of game time. Look for them to be unleashed on Saturday night. Two guys I'm really excited about seeing is Monty Rice being healthy this year. That is a position that looked really young without Monty Rice. Tay Crowder coming in from a new position. As you'll recall, he was started off as a running back for Georgia, made his way over to the defensive side of the ball. It looks like he's going to get the start next to Monty Rice. Just great for the kid. We look at all this recruiting and guys coming in each year. You might be suited for this, but your position, injuries, it gives you an opportunity to play on that defense side of the ball. Tay Crowder's made the most of it. So look forward to him. Really, I think you see some benefits from coming from the offensive side of the ball, seeing formations, being familiar with what they're looking for, which probably makes that transition a little bit earlier for him. Easier for him. But seeing how they react, zone blitzes, delayed blitzes, how they play the play action pass, you can expect that Vanderbilt to go a little bit run heavy, very similar offense to the Bulldogs, and then try to play off the play action pass. So how they get back, how they react. Also look for Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, both of those guys to step up. You might even see Quay Walker a little bit on the outside linebacker spot. So, but Monty Rice, look for him to be the force and leader in the middle, calling the plays for the Bulldogs, and probably have a big time tackle season. Expect him probably to be the leader in tackles on the Bulldogs here this season. Last but not least for the Bulldogs, wide receivers. Is there really the only question mark on the offense this year? Offensive line is the best skill group and position group on the team, both sides of the ball. A lot of big uglies, a lot of five-star guys. Pittman has done a fantastic job on that side of the ball. Jake Fromm should be clean. DeAndre Swift should have a great season. Harrion, Zamir White, we're expecting big things out of all these guys. Tyler Simmons is our leading receiver, coming back with 9 catches last season. So that's where the question mark comes from the media, and from the fans. So to see Tyler Simmons, he's really the only locked in, without a question, starter. Kirby's named him out in his press conferences here the last 2 weeks, saying that he's really the only solidified starter. We expect to see Demetrius Robertson in the slot. And we also expect to see Matt Landers, who's been battling with Miami transfer Lawrence Cager, I believe is how it's pronounced, over. So expect to see Landers and Cager to be the deep threats. You'll probably Simmons more in that Terry Godwin role. And then you'll see Demetrius Robertson being used a lot in space, and then also as a deep threat as well, similar to what you saw with Mecole Hardman, some jet sweeps mixed in there as well. Georgia has the speed, really at this position. It's just, can they catch the ball, and really can they get consistency out of this group? Don't be surprised to see James Cook a little bit in the slot and be utilized in the passing game. We expect to see DeAndre Swift a lot in the passing game, screen plays, and just running out to the flats as kind of a safety valve for Fromm to use as well. We expect a lot of balls being caught out of the backfield this year. Notice that out of James Coley's offenses over there at Miami when he had the likes of Duke Johnson's. Going into this weekend, I thought 21 points was a big number. I really did. Going on the road, Georgia's actually has a feat here, or has a streak here of 13 straight victories against the SEC East. The high streak, 13 in a row that they've had since the merger in 1992 when they split up East-West back in 92 and created the SEC championship game. Georgia's averaging wins in the SEC East of over 20 points a game. So they're not only beating inferior competition, they're putting them away. Most of the time, they're putting them away pretty early. So this should. I actually think it's a tough game here in the beginning. Probably first quarter, they're feeling each other out a little bit. Expect once again Georgia to go a little bit up tempo. We got a prediction of 38-17. I think it's probably a close game. I think it's probably a 10-point game. A 24-10 game at halftime, and then Georgia rolls second half, gets a couple touchdowns in, leans on the big uglies, establishes the running game. I'm not sure you see any Stetson Bennett this week, but I would not be surprised. So 38-17 is the prediction at 21 points. It's right under where Vegas has them here at 22.5 and where the public likes them. I'm not sure they covered the entire 21. I think they probably meet it this week. Hope I'm wrong. Hope they blow them out, guys. But I just don't see them in the kind of the style both teams play, it really being a back and forth high-scoring game. So go over to DawgNewsDaily.com. You're going to see some former Bulldogs giving some their score predictions, the likes of Musa Smith. You're seeing Steve Herndon, a couple other guys, former Bulldog quarterback David Green, making their score predictions. So go over there, check that out. Check out the article. We go a little bit more in depth than I did here today. Can't wait to get the season started. I know a lot of you guys already got your grills fired up and your coolers packed. So all of you that are traveling up to Vanderbilt this week, safe travels. Be very careful out there. And as always, go Dogs. We'll see you guys here on Sunday. Have a good one.